Welcome to Podcast 2187. Enjoy the show. And don't forget to submit your blaster for inspection.
Okay, welcome to Podcast 2187. This is episode 78, I believe. Yes, it is. And, all right, what have we got going on? Andrea, Mark, Jared, you're all here.
What's up, fucker?
What is this anarchist stuff from Andrea right off the bat?
So what I'm hoping is that we don't have anybody in here yet since we just started, and now I'll have to edit on a holiday, which is my 10-hour shift day. So you just made my day so much better.
Did I? Because this is just the beginning.
No. Anyway, so let me. Oh wait! I just got a notification.
Nervous laugh.
I just got a notification that Podcast 2187 is live on YouTube. I really did. I didn't even know I had those notifications.
We're live on YouTube?
Yeah. Okay, anyway, sorry. That was seriously just made me happy. I'm tweeting it in a second. I can't tweet a link until I start the broadcast. And so now I just got it. I'll tweet it. Anyway, but yeah, so we'll be talking about stuff like the international trailer and poster that just came out, I think today. Adam Driver had an interview that sparked a lot of conversation that was yesterday. And today is an interesting day because right now it is 5 years to the day that Disney announced they bought Lucasfilm and they will be making more Star Wars movies. So 5 years and 3 movies later, almost 4. No, wait. Almost 3 later, sorry. Almost 3 movies.
Also almost 4, though, really. I mean, it's
well,
like
yeah, that's true.
7 months away. 6 months away.
But yeah, so how would you evaluate overall the Disney era of Lucasfilm for the first 5 years? Anybody? Okay, then I'll pick Mark.
Why does it gotta go first?
Because nobody was talking, so sorry.
And that's why. Give me a second. I gotta turn this off speakerphone. We're so professional here.
You're so goddamn prepared.
Someone has been drinking a lot.
I haven't. I just got home from work and I ate Chipotle and I'm drinking water. I am at that stage where I had like a late coffee, so there's like still a lot of sugar in me, and then I had way too much of the burrito bowl. Like, you shouldn't. You know how you get to a certain point of the burrito bowl and you're like, I should probably stop eating. Because you're going to get super full in like 5 minutes. I got to that part, but then I just kept eating. And so I'm right at the cusp of being super hyped on protein and carbs. And then in like 20 minutes, I'm going to be super tired because I'm going to have all that protein and carbs in me.
The burrito bowl.
Yeah.
Okay.
And beans.
We should be sponsored by them. That was an endorsement.
Okay,
For
sorry,
podcast
Tim.
fuel.
So Mark,
First 5 years of Star Wars
by Disney, yeah.
So far, I think it's been good. I think Force Awakens, it grows on me more and more, not for the story, but just for the characters that were created. It sounds like they're gonna do, something interesting with The Last Jedi, or the visuals at least looks like they're going in an interesting direction. As far as Rogue One, I thought Rogue One's great. I like how they wiped away all the crap from the EU.
You didn't want what's his face like becoming the Death Star or whatever. That's later on.
Not a big fan of IG-88 is the Death Star. No, shutting the door in the Emperor's face, like, no, I'm not a big fan of that. Yeah, I mean, other than that, there's really not a lot to judge so far. We'll see how I feel about this after Han Solo, but so far I think they're doing a pretty good job. It doesn't look like they're doing a good job from all the turmoil going on, but so far the product, the two films that we have seen, has been pretty good. And let's not talk about Rebels.
Well, I do want to mention before we go to Jared for your opinion on this that we have, I he used to be Noah Peets on Twitter, and I'm sorry, I don't remember what your handle is right now because it changed. But he is there, and he says that we need to wipe that crap. I think from the EU conversation, and we also have a comment that says, "Yes, Darth Kindness finally hears it live." So hi to both of you.
Hi guys.
Do you guys teach at the same school?
That would be amazing.
So they both live in San Diego?
Are we just telling where everyone's location is so they can get in trouble?
It's a big city. What do you mean? It's not like I'm like they're from a population of one.
I don't know. You seem to know everybody in San Diego, don't you?
I know lots of people in lots of places, Mark. Suck it.
And also, for the record, we have greetings and salutations from Drew. So we get, hi everybody. This is like the best start we've had in a long time for live ones. Go figure,
really,
right?
Really hyping it up with those 3 men.
Hey, we got 5 viewers right now, and we're not
Wow.
even 5 minutes in. That's like or I think we are 5 minutes in. That's like the best start so far.
Wow, Tim, what do you think of Disney Star Wars?
I kind of find it hard to complain because they've been giving us a lot of really great stuff, and let's also not forget that at the end of the day, they're the reason that Lucas was working on more Star Wars stuff, but right now Disney is essentially the reason we have the amount of Star Wars that we have right now. So it's kind of hard to
They're why
complain with
this
their job.
podcast exists.
That's true.
To an extent, yeah.
I mean, I don't think if Lucas was like still running it, he'd be like taking a
What do you mean
his-
to an extent?
I think he would be taking his artistic time with things, so I don't think there would be like enough to have like a weekly podcast about. Maybe like a yearly 2017 Star Wars summary.
If
No,
Clone
no.
Wars was still going on, people could have a Clone Wars podcast.
That's true. But I mean still, like it's like a 20-minute TV show.
To be fair, people have like podcasts for everything. But you're right.
And
Not that
there
we would be
are-
on, probably.
I mean, there are podcasts right now that are completely just surrounding Rebels, and were there some that were just completely surrounding Clone Wars? I feel like there were.
There
Yes, but
definitely
they
were in the
on,
past.
They were on a different network.
I mean, I
Yeah.
wasn't really listening to podcasts when Clone Wars
We
was
are
still on
legally
TV, but
obligated to not promote them.
I don't think that's entirely.
That's definitely fake news.
So you can't complain. Is what you're saying, Tim? Is that your overall?
yeah, like so far they haven't done anything that's really bad or wrong or anything. So like, I just don't get why there's any room to complain about it so far.
Well,
Mhm.
you're right. Well, I suppose we could complain if they added Kevin Spacey to a movie, but you
Oh
know,
crap, Mark.
so-
Yeah, no, that's true.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, Jared.
That was so good.
Jared, what do
Alright.
you think about the first 5 years?
I think
Just
overall,
really
it's been-
snuck it in there.
Yeah, super so. No, I don't think I can complain on a whole lot. I think it's been good. The good stuff's been really good. There's been a few like great things and a few mediocre things.
what?
Well, they put out a lot of product. You know, I'm not just thinking of the films. I'm thinking of everything that they've done, and you know, some of the books aren't as good, and it does bring. I mean, but some of them are really good as well. But it brings me to an idea about Rebels that I wanted to talk about anyway, which is just that it's. I mean, we're critical of it. I'm not as critical as the rest of you guys, I think, of it or is down on it. But I'm also not like its biggest fan or supporter. I don't think it's unassailable by any means or perfect. It's got some flaws, but I was thinking about it and just thinking about like the old Ewoks and like, man, I love that show. And then thinking like objectively, the Ewok show was pretty awful. Like it was an awful, crass cash grab. And people talk about how, oh, Disney's ruined it. Under Disney, it's awful. But back then, George answered to no one. That stuff wasn't distributed by Fox. You know, that was, you know, those were the films only. He had a lot of creative control at Lucasfilm for decades. And it's like he went for the crass cash grabs in a way that so far Disney's worst, I think, example of it would be something like the Lego stuff, which they were doing before anyway. So to me, I just feel like we can't. It's not that we can't complain about Rebels or shouldn't be critical of it at all, but some of the criticisms talking about how it's like way too Disneyfied or too kidified. I'm just thinking like it could be worse. There are better shows on now, and there's worse shows on now, and it's not to discount anyone's criticisms. I was just thinking like, man, I can be hard on Rebels sometimes, but they're really, really trying to do a good product. Whereas the guys who made Ewoks and Droids, while they were trying to do a good product, I think they were also under the directive of just kind of a toy selling atmosphere more than Rebels is as much as it is that, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
But yeah, that's my on topic detour to say that overall I think it's good. B plus to A minus be my score for Star Wars so far.
Okay. Andrea, first 5 years of Disney owning Lucasfilm.
It's honestly terrible, and I can't even watch Star Wars anymore. And nothing will ever be as good as Empire Strikes Back. And we should just all like give up because it all sucks. It's all terrible.
I don't know.
On a scale of 1 burrito bowl to 5 burrito bowls.
Oh my god, can you imagine eating 5 burrito bowls?
What? So is it like burrito bowl?
That would be like, I don't want to be gross, but like, oh my god. And if you got beans in all of them, holy shit, like literally. Talk about
I didn't expect that to happen to him. Tim's just over there just looking at the monitor.
Well, he's like, oh, you made this so easy for me. I'm like, okay, Tim.
Well, I mean, to be fair, half the reason we're doing it live is so that I wouldn't have to edit and post it tomorrow the same way. But that's okay.
You don't have to edit it because it was live. If they were swearing, they were swearing. Just put a disclaimer. Disclaimer, rated M.
Is it easier if it's the very beginning or very end?
Yeah.
Well, no, the end. The later it gets, the harder it is.
Okay, so it's good that it was the very beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go.
But
so we should say hi to Charlie and Andrew who are in it, and Al as well in the chat.
Hey guys.
We have a lot of podcasters. We're getting support from fellow Star Wars podcasters, and I appreciate it.
Yes, that's the same thing.
But really, I really like it, and I feel like most of the stuff, well, not most of it, but some of the stuff that people complain about, like, I don't know, I feel like if you just take a few steps back, is it really that big of a deal?
You mean like the audacity to include farts and material written for 12 to 14-year-olds?
Yeah, it's like, who cares? Like, it's. I mean,
I'm not saying that means it's good, but.
But the films they've gotten have been good. They definitely could take more risks with stuff, I think. But I think hopefully as time goes on, they'll feel a little safer with taking risks. Kind of like, I feel like Marvel's kind of done that. Like we're making pretty safe movies. And then like Thor seems pretty weird. I haven't seen it yet. But it seems like it's like a little out there, and like Guardians of the Galaxy have been like kind of out there. You know what I mean? They're kind of progressing to, we have like an established audience so we can be a little more creative.
It's interesting. I think you're right, but there's also like a back and forth a little bit on that. Like, yeah, because while the special effects in Doctor Strange were great, and while I think Ant-Man is a superior film to Iron Man, both those movies have really good things about it, but they're basically like the same story beat, character origin, like formula as developed in Iron Man. Like they're really, really similar beat for beat. Whereas each Guardians of the Galaxy movie, they've kind of let James Gunn do his own thing. And he even said recently, like, it's because it was such obscure characters. Like they were like, that was always a gamble to the investors, to the Disney side, to the really, really higher ups. They were like, we're just giving that a shot. So if it fails, it fails. So that's why they gave him as much freedom as they did the first time, and then the second time he was super successful. So they let it continue. And I totally agree about Thor. I'm really excited. Taika Waititi is like done such a good job in everything I've seen him do, and he's able to do semi-serious stuff and super weird stuff and silly stuff. And I mean, I know you like Flight of the Conchords, Andrea, and he directed a bunch of that.
I love Flight of the Conchords. Oh, I didn't know that.
No, he wrote and directed a bunch of that.
It's my favorite show ever.
He's friends with them. He's a Kiwi, and
Oh my god, I want them to be in Star Wars.
I hope he and Jermaine still work together a lot. So I kind of hope he's a bit part in it.
When he
Hey,
showed
Tim,
up
how you
in
doing?
Moana, I was so excited.
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Hey,
Good.
you guys should like Flight of the Conchords more.
You guys should watch Flight of the Conchords. It's hilarious.
Oh my god, it's my favorite show ever! Oh.
It's hilarious.
That's not what I sound like.
A little bit.
Because I get excited about things. Wow. All you people these days can't get excited about nothing.
Can't get excited about
Kids these days.
Okay, so
Listen, I jumped on the
Just
chase to
on
talk
there.
about Thor because
Just on their Twitter.
Tim
Such a
didn't even
good
list
job
Stranger
after
Things.
talking about Star Wars, and here we are with a lot of people listening for once, and basically someone's messing the bed up.
You know what? People want to know what we think of Flight of the Conchords because that's a great show. And the people will support me on that.
She's right. She's right.
It was raining when I was walking out from work today, and I was singing "I'm Not Crying," which was Play the Concord song, like in my head, because I was like, "Oh, it's raining like in that and dark, like exactly like in that song."
How you doing, Tim?
All right.
not much. Not much.
So oh, go ahead, host.
That was that was okay.
That was like jujitsu. She turned it around on you.
So we have a lot of questions coming in, mostly on Twitter. So I want to get through to a couple of the stories we were going to discuss, and then we can go through some of those because there's some really good questions there. The first thing was that the 2 international items came out today, one being the international poster, the other being the international trailer. I know some of you had said you hadn't seen or watched some of them, so who has seen what?
I've
Saw the poster.
seen
I saw
the trailer.
the poster. I didn't even know what trailer's out.
I watched both.
Okay.
Whoa!
Mark,
You really didn't stick to that. I'm not gonna watch any trailer.
No, he already
Uh,
explained because the editing. I get you, Mark.
She doesn't listen to our own podcast, Jared.
Oh, that was one where she was
Too busy getting
that's my
burrito
bad.
bowls.
Stupid. Hey,
And
there was
watching
the one
Flight of the
time.
Conchords, what's my favorite show ever?
There was the one
Actually,
time recently
Actually,
that
I've
she
been
watched a
watching Jane the
show
Virgin.
instead of hanging out with us. And yeah, no, that's also a really good show. We should totally start a podcast where we talk about shows they hate, like Gilmore Girls and Jane the Virgin.
Keep going.
With
And Psych
Colin.
and
Hey, Psych is a good show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mark, there's a kid show that I was introduced to from my nephew.
Sorry, I don't like Tom Cruise.
This character, though, I gotta show you like at least a couple clips of him. He reminds me so much of you in the best possible way. He reminds me. It's a kid's cartoon, and he reminds me
All right.
so much.
So, what did you guys think of the trailer that watched it?
It was. I mean,
Mark.
Mark.
Let's go again. Okay. Hang on, Mark always has to go first. Okay. Let me say this. I would have expected more Rose in the trailer.
Yeah,
From a specific selling standpoint, if you're gonna have a trailer that is marketed in Japanese, you would think you'd have an Asian American in the trailer, or an Asian of any kind in the trailer.
It's making me like a little concerned that
That girl's head is smaller than a porg on the poster.
That's what I was gonna say, man. That's exactly what I was thinking. Like
not like concerned, but like there's people who are really really excited about her character, and I'm totally happy for them. But then this stuff happens, and I'm like kind of worried she doesn't have like as big of a role as we may have thought. I mean, I don't read spoilers, so like who knows what everybody else knows that's not me. But what if she's in the movie for like 2 seconds?
I'm just hoping she's like like the new Lando, like the fourth member of their group. That's at least how
That
they.
seems reasonable.
That's at least how they want us to think, based on bringing her out at Celebration and stuff.
Technically
It's
Poe's
like,
the new Lando.
yeah, I really do think that's. Well, I think Poe is like the third
I
member of the main trio. They're
Yeah.
Han or Luke or whatever.
Not in the last movie. Like again, I don't think we can. You can't have the same dynamics as the original trilogy. You really
Not the
can't.
No, and I agree with that, but I just mean as far as the characters they're positioning for this trilogy overall as the main set. And again, a lot of it is marketing, and it might not be right at all, but it's what they've led us to believe. Because just like the prequels, it wasn't the same dynamic at all, but they did have a three that some of them had more of a focus in each one. Like Qui-Gon had a bigger role in Episode 1 than Obi-Wan, just like Han had a much bigger role than Poe, but overall they were the third member of the main three characters of that trilogy, and that's I had that sort of expectation about Poe, but I agree with you that I don't know that it's all going to be accurate. Like it'll be made or broken by this next movie.
All right. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. We have messages being retracted in the live chat, and I don't know why. There's your live update.
People are saying vulgar things.
I'm not doing anything though. It's just like there was one that had been there. Well, I saw what the message said. It was perfectly fine, and then all of a sudden it just says it's retracted, and I have no idea why.
Yep. Who was it from? Call him out. Call him out.
No,
Tell us what it said.
Yeah, Noah had something.
Who was it?
Noah had something that said impromptu Star Wars. That's all it said, and now it's retracted.
Maybe he fears the results.
Okay,
Hey.
so Dark Kindness thinks that it's Russia, and Noah says he's being censored. So yeah, I don't know what's going on, but that's weird.
I think didn't Noah just send us a tweet saying he was sending too many? saying he was sending too many.
Yeah, I
That might be
did
why.
see that.
It might be like marking it as spam. Noah.
Charlie just said one that says rudeness. The message retracted, which I thought.
Can we talk about Star Wars? I feel like
Hey,
there's a
hold
lot.
on real quick.
What?
Nothing. I just thought did Darth Kindness change his name to Darth Rudeness for Halloween?
Yeah,
That would be great.
that'd be awesome.
Darth
I'm-
cruelty.
Yeah, for one day.
I'm not as into this like red color on the new poster as I was when it first started happening.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe it's just because this one you sent us is in like not in HD. Maybe that's why.
Sorry.
Well, I'm just saying.
Have we
We're just
figured out
saying-
what the
we're
red
just
what the red's
express-
about yet?
It's obviously blood.
So who dies?
Space dust on Mars or whatever.
Well, I think Leia's dead.
Oh God.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Well, they said they had to like
Go
they
sit
said
in the
she's
Star
not
Wars
gonna be in
corner.
episode 9.
That was pretty
Oh.
harsh, dude.
Well,
That was
okay,
pretty harsh.
that's not harsh. That's reality. I'm still really sad about it, but like,
Gee, I'm still really sad about it.
Jeez.
that's not how I laugh. I'm just saying, it's a pretty safe bet at this point.
Do we,
What
see,
else
that's
would
the
they
thing,
do?
though.
It wouldn't make any sense for Leia to be like, okay, guys, I'm going off on a planet. Never see you again. She's the only one who's always stuck around.
Well, if Dave Filoni did it, then we know that would happen.
Well, yeah, because
Oh, that's true.
Dave Filoni can't like make anything permanent.
And I wonder if that's how he felt for Clone Wars 2, and George was the one who was like, no, this person needs to die. You know what I mean? I wonder if
I
he
would
wanted to
not
keep
be
him going.
Surprise.
No, they said that they always argued about what to do with Ahsoka's ending, and that eventually came around to Dave before, the changeover before George left, If that's true, I tend to think you're right, Tim. No, I like it feels like George was like, no, she should die. Like that's why she's not in the movie. Like it's like,
Right.
come on, man. Like
Right.
and it's because even though he likes characters, like I don't know. I was even talking to a friend the other day about how she had her life force restarted by the daughter in the Mortis arc. You could use that, like Dave, kill her off. Here's my advice to Dave Filoni, and then just use that as a MacGuffin for why she can be a Force ghost, and you could use her in your material in the future, and people who knew her could see her in junk. It'd be great, and that way you got her as a Force ghost forever. You don't need to like everything in Star Wars doesn't benefit from the way they talk about the Clone Wars in the first movie. Like that's always an example I hear about, like, oh, they gotta have the mystery because everybody's just like imagining what were the Clone Wars because just this one line in the first movie. And yeah, no, that's cool, but not every single thing needs to be shrouded in mystery. It's like Ahsoka doesn't benefit from, where's Ahsoka? What happened to Ahsoka? Nobody knows any more than like, what if there was no corpse for Aunt Beru? And they're like, did she skip out of town? Who knows? Like, we'll never know.
Is Aunt Beru Snoke?
And, exactly. And it only makes Aunt Beru a more interesting character because we just didn't even finish the story. Like that's not the way it is for every single thing. And I feel like there's just some people do have that attitude with Star Wars, and I guess Dave Filoni's amongst them.
They do say.
I feel like. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was about to say something really stupid, so go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I feel like people in general have a weird relationship with death. Like we do all these things to prevent death all the time, like, and myself included. Like I feel super weird about death, but it's a part of life. Like it happens. It's gonna happen to everybody. It's the one thing you cannot get out of. So Dave Filoni, just freaking kill somebody off. Kill that wolf off that you just brought in this episode. Like,
I thought you didn't see it.
I didn't. I just saw some person posted a screen cap, and I was like, that's that wolf that people think is Ahsoka. And people wouldn't think, he wouldn't have to say that, no, that's not Ahsoka, if he had just killed Ahsoka off and finished her arc.
I said exactly that, like an episode a long time ago. I don't know if you were on it or not. I kind of hope you weren't. You said the same thought. That's awesome. It's true though. It's exactly how I feel about it. Like just end it.
Well, I feel like at a certain point, we've talked about this before, but it's a disservice to the character to not give them an actual ending. To be like, oh, let's just let the audience guess. Like, no, let their story be done. Let them have a finish. It's like if you ended a book and we're just like, oh, we're just going to end on chapter 39 instead of 40, and you can go just guess what happens in the end. Like,
and who knows, ...
Yeah, like
the
chapter
like The Sopranos. Yes, exactly. And it works occasionally, but not for everything. And like,
it didn't even work for The Sopranos.
Yeah, I mean people hated that. Like, it's like one of the most hated endings of all time. That and like Lost? People do not like those.
Hey.
I don't mind the Lost ending, but
hey, who else cried themselves to sleep when Lost ended? I'm not saying I did, but
I cried myself to sleep in the Black Rock episode with probably Colin. With the, what do you call it? The one all about Richard Alpert, the guy with the crazy eyelashes, the Spanish dude who's immortal. And
yeah.
The Constant?
That was good.
Yeah.
No. But
No. The guy who was made immortal as punishment, who's on the slave ship, who's on the Black Rock.
I have to go watch that episode again now.
That guy, and then also basically everyone with Desmond. Desmond's like
the Constant made me mess me up. That episode, that was so sad, but also beautiful.
I love Desmond, even though I don't enjoy the performance of Sonia Walger, the girl who plays woman who plays Penny. I don't like his.
Oh, I love them.
Speaking of Rebels, you guys read the article today?
What was in the article today about Rebels?
That we will see the aftermath of the Battle of Scarif, but we will not relive the Battle of Scarif.
Oh, interesting.
And that makes sense to me because with Rogue
But
One,
that means
still,
it's going to go concurrent with A New Hope.
Right, which confuses me. It was God, I wish I remember who it was. An interview with Dave Filoni, and Dave Filoni said, "We'll see the aftermath of Scarif, but we're not going to replay Rogue One."
you're right though, because that has to be the exact timeline of A New Hope, just somewhere
Right.
else.
Well, because the thing
Right.
is, I'd like to discuss a little bit of tonight's episodes. I don't know who's listening who wants to get spoiled or hasn't been spoiled, because some of us are able to actually watch it on demand. I only was able to watch an episode and a half before I had to get on the podcast.
Yeah,
But,
same. Only I could only watch the first one.
So if anybody doesn't want to hear anything now, go eat a sandwich for about 10 minutes or so. But the thing that made me laugh though was the almost kiss between Hera and Kanan.
Like they're just messing with people now.
Yeah, they're just messing with people now. And at the same time though, I think that you're gonna get it. I'm still thinking, God, please, Dave, do one thing right. Let them kiss right before Kanan sacrifices himself.
I would be, I'd be down with Kanan making a noble sacrifice because it would explain a lot. It could explain away a lot, and it, like you said, it could have Ezra ended up going with Sabine after that. After there's no one there to teach him anymore, going with her to help on Mandalore, and that explains why there's no.
Hey,
Yeah,
do you
not
guys
even that.
do you
They're
guys
also-
think Ezra and Sabine are gonna hook up?
Yeah, they're
Maybe.
pushing the dynamic
Maybe.
a lot.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
far. The first
they-
6 episodes, they really are.
It felt
Ezra
like,
has no game.
but it felt like
like
the
at
second
all.
half of season 2 and the first half of season 3, they pulled back on it, and now they're like pushing forward on it again. I don't know. It doesn't feel necessary. I don't hate it, but
Right.
the Kanan Hera thing feels really natural because it's super evident on both sides in The New Dawn, and even in the first episode. I think like there's a lot of subtext and it's clearly meant to be a mother father kind of role in the family dynamic of the ship and the crew, and it's a natural conclusion. Whereas the other one, it's like, he had a crush on her in the first season. It was funny, or whatever. You can tell what they were going for, but I just don't think it's necessary. But
I think I'm thinking possibly that this episode shows, or I hope telegraphs where they're going with his character, with Ezra's character. Because at least part of Lothal is jacked. It's pretty much ruined, and you can kind of see him, toying with the idea of, do you fight this larger war, or do you deal with, your family and your home and trying to help them? And I wouldn't have a problem if he laid everything down as far as like the Jedi Order or being with Kanan to go try and save either his home and his family and his people, or go help Sabine, with theirs or with hers.
I'd be down for that.
But again, Kanan, you can't have Kanan live. You can have Kanan and Ezra die. You can have Kanan die and Ezra live. Does that make sense?
yeah.
You can't have both of them just be like, whoop.
Well, and I think man, if Ezra were to die, there's still a route you could make a despondent Kanan just be ruined, I think. But
No, but here's why you can't, because again, they've already established that Hera's with the rebellion. You've already established that Hera and Kanan are in love.
yeah, but even in this new season, they have him talking about not wanting to do the war. They brought that back for the first time. You mentioned towards the end of last season they hadn't talked about it as much, but in the first episodes in this season, they had him again talking about how he never wanted to be a part of like a greater war. And I just feel like they wouldn't be mentioning it.
I don't see him leaving her.
I can see that, but I could just
Really?
see her.
Span of 10 more episodes?
I don't know if Ezra died, and it feels like they have to have some sort of time jump. Like, does he die concurrently with Scarif somewhere else? I don't know.
I think he dies before her.
See, that'll be interesting too, though, because if they show the aftermath to that, that means there's in the next several episodes before the end he dies instead of him dying in the end to save them, which isn't. I feel like them dealing with the aftermath is maybe less plausible to me with just their pacing, but I don't know.
Don't they have a mid-season break?
They do, like or just we have through the first 9 episodes scheduled and then nothing after that. So it might not be anything until after that. And then there's what, like 6 more?
Yeah, I think it would be easier. You know, you can't have him die in the last episode and then everything wrap itself up in 5 minutes of a denouement or whatever the hell it's called. But you could at the season break or the winter break have Kanan bite it, and then they spend the rest of their time trying to come to grips with where they go forward.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah, I really don't like the idea of Kanan being around for the aftermath of the Scarif thing, because then
doesn't
for
make
me,
any sense.
plus the timeline of A New Hope, I don't want to be seeing A New Hope and be thinking that, yeah, as this is all going on, Kanan's out there somewhere doing who knows what, you know, because if he's still around,
Wedge is like I've seen a blind Jedi, man. This isn't that great.
Well, and the thing is, if he's still around for the aftermath of Scarif, that's not enough time for him to have faded away, so to speak. He's still going to be relevant for A New Hope time frame, and that just doesn't work for me.
Well, yeah, and even then, you know, like we said before, Tarkin makes it very clear that there are no more Jedi left. And in this episode, you've got, or the second episode, Thrawn's like, so one of the pilots is like, look, it's a Jedi. He's like, oh, it's Ezra Bridger. So it's like, you know, you can't have the general Imperials thinking, yeah, there's Jedi running around when Tarkin in A New Hope is saying the Jedi are dead. So at some point,
well, and that's when Tarkin and Vader are just by themselves too, right? At one point. Because it would be different. I think it's totally plausible. But if he's in a room full of underlings and he knows, you know, that Kanan's still out there and hiding or whatever and survived, or like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's ways around it, but not in this case. not those two guys. Not the number 2 guys in the Empire are like, man, it's crazy. I totally blanked on those 2 Jedi earlier in that conversation. I can't believe it. Like, they've been giving me so much trouble.
Yeah, I've enjoyed this so far. So I'm hoping that he sticks the landing. That he doesn't just make it all horribly not worth my time. But I really enjoyed what I've seen so far.
Mark, ever since you said that about Ezra and Sabine, like maybe going to one of their home planets and helping, I really like that idea. Because they've kind of already shown, like in the past couple episodes, that they're not very good at thinking about the big picture. Like, they're like, oh, this group of people, we have to save them. And Saw's like, what about the bigger picture here? And they're like, what? What bigger picture? Which, I mean, good thing that they saved those people, but...
Well, and also you haven't seen the episode yet, Andrea. But do you care if I spoil a little something for you or no?
Yeah, you can't spoil a kids' TV show to me.
Okay, good. So, essentially, you know, there's definitely a part of Lothal that is like almost a toxic waste. So, I mean, they're just burning fires and it's smoke, and so you see the difference. You see the difference between how they left it and how it is now, and I would think that would spur him to want to save things.
Yeah, and I don't really feel like they could. I feel like their personalities would have a hard time. I don't know the way to say it. Like separating wanting to help, like people directly. Like I don't feel like they'd feel like they're doing much if they were in like a big part of the rebellion and just like helping in general. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like when people, this is a bad analogy because I'm a nurse, but it's like kind of like when some nurses become providers and then they're like, I don't really like this as much because I'm not with the person I'm helping. Like I'm just like telling other people what to do. Does that make sense?
I've got an idea as well. I think that does make sense because it's like it's more of a pulled back role.
Yeah,
Another
like they're not there.
Another like fictional adventure metaphor, but also ties into something real. Like, you know, Robin Hood, in the story of Robin Hood, went and fought in the Crusades and was disillusioned and hated the war, and then went back to his hometown and fought a little war there to save his own people. It's like, and it's sort of like, I don't know. I have always thought that this Rebels crew is sort of like a space Robin Hood deal. You know, it's sort of.
Yeah, but they've gotten, and in a way, I think it's getting too big for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, they got co-opted, sort of. And Hera was always wanting to do that, and secretly, you know, part of the beginning of it.
I think the stories are better when they're on a what is it considered, a macro scale, like a smaller scale.
Macro's larger.
Okay,
micro.
If it's, you know, it's awesome seeing the formation of the rebellion, but this isn't called Star Wars Rebellion, it's Star Wars Rebels. So it would be nice to see them, you know, it's really gone from the little small stuff into this, you know, they're giant players. I mean, he's Commander Ezra, he's Commander Bridger. It's like, you guys running out of people to promote? This guy, really? They should never be that. They should be just a small group of people, you know, that are happen to be like a family, who are helping out in the rebellion. Not like, you know, we're at the table with all these. We're at the table with Mothma and Dodonna and all that. It shouldn't get that large.
Yeah, I agree.
I love that idea, though, Commander Bridger. Well, and it just made me think of too. It's like, I remember I like on another podcast, on another podcast network, a podcast about Rebels with Jonah Marie and her mom, because they're very, very passionate about it, and it's fun. It's fun listening to them talk about them. But I remember them identifying the voice actor who does Wedge, because he was on a show that my niece watched when she was a preteen on iCarly, and he's a kid who's like maybe your age, Andrea, maybe a little younger. His name was Nathan Kress. He was the best friend. He was the cameraman.
Yeah. I got forced to watch public shows with my kids, so
I figured there was a good chance, because your boy's age, that you know what I was talking about. So he voices Wedge. I'm supposed to believe that dude turns into the movie Wedge in a matter of 6 months. like, I'm sorry, but he just doesn't sound anything. You know what I mean? Like, he sounds young still. And it's not that the guy who played him was super old, because he wasn't. But he just didn't. I don't know, man. It still has that kind of weird kid vibe in some ways. Maybe it's a minor criticism, but
one major criticism of the first episode is the loungy sort of version of the Imperial March. Didn't really work for me.
Oh no, I know what you're talking about in the first part. When
they're in a bar and it's like,
oh yeah, my eyes rolled. I was like, oh, I don't know about this. Like I thought, like, people criticize when they use old music cues on Rebels sometimes, but this was the worst. This was the time that I was like, that wasn't done well.
I don't remember if I noticed that.
It would be like if Lee Greenwood decided to do the Imperial March. It's sort of like a poppy, you know, this is our anthem. Ding, 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 ding. And it's supposed to be playing in the background when they're at the bar or whatever. And I was like, what the heck?
It was like elevator. It was elevator music version of the Imperial March.
There is the elevator version of that.
It might have been a better choice.
Yeah.
All right, so I was actually gonna start talking about another big article that came out, and like literally 10 seconds ago, Noah tweeted us if we've talked about this topic yet. So it's like perfect timing. Adam Driver recently gave an interview with GQ. Any chance any of you read any of it yet?
No.
Okay.
I read the quote that people are
They're talking about,
freaking out about. Yeah.
Ooh. What's the quote?
So actually, let me see if I can find it. Give me like a second.
I want to hear the exact quote.
Yeah.
I have it in front of me.
Oh, what is it,
Tim's prepared.
I am
Okay.
somewhat.
Tim?
No,
I
but
like the way you
he-
said that.
No, but- okay, so it's in an interview, and Adam Driver said it. Some people are saying it's a spoiler warning. Some people say it's not. That's part of the discussion. But what he said is that he's just talking about Kylo and Rey, and he says that he remembers with them peeling away layers to evolve into other people. And the person Kylo's pretending to be on the outside is not who he actually is. He's a vulnerable kid who doesn't know where to put his energy, but when he puts his mask on, suddenly he's playing a role. JJ had that idea initially, and I think Ryan took it to the next level. But then after that, he says, you have also the hidden identity of this princess who's hiding who she really is so she can survive, and Kylo Ren and her hiding behind... That's weird. Hold on. So she can... hiding who she really is so she can survive, and Kylo Ren and her hiding behind these whatever. That was awkwardly structured.
Artifices?
Yeah, but that whole thing was awkwardly structured. I had a hard time getting through that, as you can all tell. Anyway, the main line about that was him saying you have also the hidden identity of this princess who's hiding who she really is.
Right.
So she can
No,
survive.
and I caught people discussing that as well. Yeah.
So, with that being the major discussion point for this, there are two main sets of thought for it. The one says that he meant this literally, and there is some royal family heritage for Rey, and the other say that he meant it more like not metaphorically, but just as more of an expression than a literal ranking or royalty or anything like that. So
It doesn't make any sense unless she's like if she was a really stereotypical like prissy debutante character, then it's an expression to call her a princess. But what expression is there that you just call Rey in any way a princess? Does that, like, I don't know.
The one thing that
Yeah.
seems interesting about that though is that if she, like, do you assume that we've always assumed that someone's going to reveal her heritage to her?
What if she knows?
Right. What if she already knows and she's just been keeping it a secret? And so it's like, hey, guess what? I'm a hidden princess.
It makes
was
the top secret line interesting, and it makes the whole thing with it people saying it was that Force Awakens was a redo of Hidden Fortress kind of interesting, or a redo of A New Hope, which is a redo of a Hidden Fortress, because then it makes that part literal because she's a hidden princess.
I don't. Do you think they would do that where she is a princess and she knows it, and
Why not?
all of the Force Awakens? I mean,
I feel like they would kind of undermine her character a little bit because she seems like a pretty genuine person.
Yeah,
But
but
it
if you were a
isn't-
princess who were living, under that guy since you were 5, then you're not going to necessarily have any affect of being a princess.
But isn't her man? I only saw the trailer once, but isn't her voiceover in the international trailer different? And you could almost kind of tie the two together. Like, I've always known something about myself. She's talking about I've always known that I've had this power. Or
I think she
she's
says
talking
it's always been there and now it's awake.
about- is that what she said? Never mind.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying something cool. Talk about sleeping.
Whoa.
I don't know.
I'm about getting up in the morning.
I feel like it'd be weird if she knew she was a princess and she didn't like.
But who's she supposed to tell? What like at this
I don't
point?
know.
Because she doesn't have any extended period of interaction with the resistance that we see. She's only known Han for a little while, and he's like this legendary space pirate swindler dude. So while he's cool and she's bonding with him, like, his reputation might not mean like, oh, I'm gonna instantly tell him I'm a freaking secret princess. If she's been keeping it a secret for 14 years or whatever, then why would she tell any of them right away, except for maybe Finn? But they never really get a chance to reveal their secrets before she gets taken.
He
and he's-
reveals his secret to her though. He's like, "Oh, I'm a stormtrooper. They took me away."
True,
Blah
but then
blah.
But then they
that would have been a perfect opportunity for her to be like, I got taken away too. I'm supposed to be royalty, and I don't even know who my parents are. Like, that wasn't a good time.
no,
When they were having this emotional conversation, she's trying to get him to stay.
no,
But,
Boy,
but we're talking about
boy.
J.J. Abrams. though.
also true. He has to have
didn't even-
women
he
run
didn't
away
even-
crying.
And he didn't even have Leia give Chewbacca a hug.
He did when they first saw each other.
When? No, when Han's dead.
Yeah, I know, but he's directly behind Finn on the little tram. I think he just watched Han die, and now he sees his little buddy, but he just made friends with, get gutted in the spine, and he's concerned. So he'll hug her in a minute.
You know, Jared, go hug a Wampa. Your thing doesn't make sense.
No way, dude.
Stop trying to fit Chewbacca.
I will go to bat for Chewbacca, and I was yeah, no, I think that's fair. Like if Tim were hurt and Mark, you just died, I would follow Tim to the ER before I gave Andrea a hug.
And then you just fly away.
That's right. We don't know. They're in different outfits. What do you mean just fly away? It wasn't 1 minute later. Just fly away.
But Tim would still be in a coma, and you don't give a crap about Tim in a coma. Tim's
Yeah,
supposed to be your
Jared.
friend. You're like out of here. Yeah, later.
Well, I had a mission to go on.
What's your mission?
I am pretty understanding.
Listen, we all
Oh,
left.
Well, okay, so hold on though, because no, but every single thing about the Force, going back to Rey knowing every single thing about the Force Awakens indicates that she really doesn't know. Like even when Maz talks to her about like the people you're waiting for aren't going to come back, and she cries. You know, if she knew who she is or was or whatever, I don't know. Like, do you think she would be crying at the revelation and the realization that they really aren't coming back?
But
Yeah, the king and queen are bailing.
Yeah, what if she knew that? What if she knew that she was
I
royalty?
feel like
and-
it's a real big stretch.
Oh, I think it is a big stretch, but I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. Just
oh my
to
God,
say-
you're such a benefit of the doubter.
I always am. You know it.
I know, it's so annoying sometimes.
I'm sorry.
It's
Hey,
okay.
if
Keep
we all
going.
just if we all just agreed, then we would have no discussion.
No, I don't believe it's implausible that she is a princess. I think it's ridiculous that she would know. Like, it seems like all about The Force Awakens is about her like trying to find herself.
But what if it lies in what Tim was just saying with Maz talking about realizing or accepting that they're never coming back, because that means that they're dead, because her family was in hiding, and it's like it's Anastasia, man. It's like you put the princess in hiding.
Yeah,
and
but Anastasia didn't know she was a princess until someone like revealed it to her. She didn't know in the beginning.
in the movie.
Yeah, which is what I'm basing this off of.
She was a real lady, man.
Well, you expect me to go off history and not the
I'm just saying, John Cusack didn't actually tell her that she was Anastasia in real life.
Hey Tim, how you doing?
Well, I just want to say, Mark, though, I do feel like your idea that she's the one who knows would actually be like a really cool plot twist that actually would be surprising. Because in this day and age, especially with something like Star Wars and plot twists and surprises, there aren't very many things that people wouldn't see coming or have theories about or whatever. And that is a new one. I don't think I've heard that before. So that's a good idea.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Even though Andrea craps all over it.
She says, Luke, I am your princess.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's very subservient of her.
What? No,
What,
it's like your
princess?
queen. What?
I'm kink shaming.
He's not the king. She's
I said- I said kink.
Whoa.
Wow.
I'm just.
All right.
Things took a weird turn there.
So we got
All right,
questions on
sorry.
Twitter.
Let's go for it.
Okay, so we had one from Josiah, who was on, was it last week, 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks. Ago.
2 weeks. Hi, Josiah. He says, I saw a report that 80% of Solo has been reshot, and if that's true, does this worry you or give you confidence? Just to go first, I'm totally that has confidence for me because it's a completely new director who's going to take the movie in a new direction. So I'm surprised it's not like 95% reshot. So that's fine for me. But what do you think?
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious they didn't like the direction it was going in because they fired the directors. So, I mean, if they had fired the directors and only reshot 2 scenes, that would have been kind of weird. Like, you would be like, what was the point of hiring a new director and going through this whole bad process and bad PR if you're not going to make the changes you want to make?
I can see that. Like, I definitely agree with that. It feels like if it was a majority that was not reshot by any means, if it was like 55% was the same, that's harder. You know, you got to fit in a bunch of stuff from another director's vision into yours.
Right.
With people recast, we know, or rewritten entirely. It's like overall, I'm disappointed with the way this film's turned out, but I think that's the way to go and in the circumstances that they're in.
Do we think Amelia Clark has taken acting lessons? This is my question, because how did she not get recast?
If they made Alden Ehrenreich take acting lessons on set, which everybody slams.
I think he's not that bad. He wasn't that bad in Hail Caesar.
That's true, but I just think it's funny because people harp on all the stuff that Lord Miller did, but nobody really brings that up anymore. And like, yeah, it's not a huge deal. It happens. People act like it was completely unheard of when it isn't, but it's just kind of funny. You're throwing shade to Amelia Clark, but he actually did have to have acting lessons on the set of the film.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. I forgot he was in Hail Caesar, but yeah, I remember he was pretty good.
He was the cowboy. I thought it was good too.
No, he's funny, right? Like,
yeah.
He does what he's supposed to do very well.
Right.
But he does play like a big dummy.
Yeah.
Which I guess Han Solo's a less dumb cowboy.
I was gonna say he's not dumb, but
no, but he is I don't know.
He's kind of a doof without.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's kind of a goofy cowboy. Still, even though he's not dumb.
But also, we have a 3-part question from Jesse, and I feel like this is close to subtweeting actually. He says, also, why do people keep believing quote unquote news from sites who have never gotten anything right? I mean, there are certain news sites within Star Wars fandom who haven't posted a single original rumor that's passed, and yet if they said something like 80% of Han Solo has been reshot, people still get antsy. What gives? I mean, there are still there are dark corners of the internet that do lots of weird things, and there are also dark places still on the internet who, like, will, no matter what Jason says or making Star Wars posts, they, to this day, with so much being proven right constantly, will still fight tooth and nail about how, no, this is just wrong. This is wrong. This is a stupid idea. And then, of course, it comes to show that it was right, and they will still fight again the next time.
Some of them still blame them because they're where they first read that Han Solo was going to die. So, and they clicked on a spoiler that was well identified as a spoiler, and then they like literally are shooting the messenger and blaming them as like, you killed my childhood favorite character.
Right.
Like,
right.
It's such a weird, twisted way to take it. So
I feel like some people, not everybody, but some people like these other quote unquote news sites because they, using Jesse's terminology, because they're the leading option that's not making Star Wars, and some people just don't like making Star Wars for their own personal reasons.
The intricacies of Star Wars news.
Is it a 3-letter website, Tim? You're talking about?
No. 4.
Okay. I know you're talking about. I know you're talking about then.
I mean, there's also this whole thing called Reddit and 4chan and all that too. That's a whole other animal.
Whatever.
So let's just agree that the internet's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
I've
internet
seen,
is a
I've seen the awful
cesspool.
internet. I can't wait to see who they ship next.
I hope that you stop looking up that stuff because it pictures end up in my DM, and I didn't ask to see some of these things.
Yes, you did. Wait till DJ gets in some sweet shipping action. It's gonna be Poj.
Wow.
That just reminded me of the episode, Andrea. Since you weren't on, because you definitely didn't listen. Not last week, the week before you were on, most recently. I guess it was like a month ago. Tim and Mark both said a couple times we were trying to talk about potential ways for Kylo to redeem himself. They meant to say if he sacrificed himself killing Snoke, but both times they said killing Poe, and it made me so happy. Like, I was like, that was just from those weird slips were both for me. Like, just the idea that then everyone else would be like, thank you. Thank God somebody finally did it. Like, it'd be so weird. How would that possibly redeem him?
Weird.
Charlie sent something in, and he said, if you could change anything in the past or in the last 5 years of Star Wars, what would it be and why? So let's do Jared first.
I'd firmly establish Jackson back into the canon.
It says you
I
could
still don't know
change,
that
not
who
you
that
could
is.
add that you could change.
That's a change? It wasn't done, and now it would be.
All right, fine. Andrea.
You need to look up the word change, Tim.
Well, I'm assuming he means, change from what it currently is, current status, not an addition to the status. You know what I mean?
Which is an old character.
As of right now, I would not have had Han Solo be a standalone. I would have gone with somebody else.
Would you do like a Han Solo and a Boba Fett, and like
No,
a trio
I
thing,
do not
or
like Boba Fett.
well, but just as an example,
We
like, so
have
would you have one of him and
established
Jabba,
this.
or him and somebody else, or do you just not want there to be a standalone with him as a main character
If
at
it
all?
ends, I mean, I haven't seen it yet, so if it ends up being Han and Lando, I think I would like that. But if it's just Han, and if it's just like, oh my God, he's so cool, and he picked up Amelia Clark, and oh my God, he's so hot, I will probably scratch my eyeballs
That's not
out.
what I'm gonna think when I watch it.
Wait, what'd you say?
I said, guaranteed that's not what I'm gonna think when I watch it. Oh my God, he's so hot.
No, I mean like,
Amelia Clark.
no, I mean like, if
That's
that's
probably-
what they were
probably
trying
what
to
I'm
like
gonna think.
sell, like how cool he is. Like, what a cool guy. Don't you want to hang out with him? No. I want a Princess Leia movie.
Do you think we'll ever get one?
I don't know. I still think that Princess of Alderaan would make a pretty good movie. And there's a lot of action. And that girl from Stranger Things could play Leia.
Yep, I agree. Although I didn't realize, I somehow missed that she was British. I'd seen her do commercials and stuff, but it was all with an American accent, and I just totally missed it.
That seems to be everything.
There's just too many British people.
Yes.
They're out to get them.
Good Lord, Jared.
I'm rounding up British people.
This is interesting. Oh, are we back? No. Are we back? Okay, I think I'm on the stream, but I think I'm the only one right now. Thank you, Noah. For and okay, you guys, thank you all. Noah, Mr. Curry, awesome person. I think I'm back again. This is not going well.
Tim should just answer all the
Hey, hi.
Hey, you rejoined us, or let us rejoin you. I was just typing in that it was a podcast.
Were the police coming for you?
I don't know what's going on. The streaming client thing is going in and out for no reason. Like my internet's fine, but for and my computer's doing fine, but for some reason it's just like going in and out. But I think,
well, you may have to edit.
well, I think we're broadcasting now. I think we're back.
Supposedly people could hear you.
Yeah, Noah
hope-
was saying that he could hear you
I
on the
hope-
chat.
I hope they heard my good joke.
Is when it eventually comes back, we're just gonna go through it really quickly. What's going on? I have no idea what's going on. Like I said, it's not to quote Lando, it's not my fault. It's really not.
I think it's time to wrap it up then, Tim.
I'm thinking so, yeah. So, hopefully this doesn't to catch up. Okay, we're back. So, all right, we'll post this. Happy Halloween and bye.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
You watch. Now it'll just go on for the next like 30 minutes.
Keep going.
No. We'll end this. I'm just curious to see how long it goes now.
I would save all the questions though for next week.
Yeah, well, there weren't that
answer
many
you
more.
guys.
What's up?